And we are back for another college football 2023 prediction. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below if you like the content. Also, make sure that you like it if you do enjoy it. Comment your thoughts and opinions down below, good, bad, or ugly. It is going to be a fun preview. Also, a big shout out to I'm doing Baylor today. Big shout out to Scotty B. He is the Baylor king. His comment I'll make sure I'll pin the comment down below. Go check out his analysis. Will be much more in depth than mine. Mine is more the record prediction. But if you have any of your Baylor questions, check out his channel as well. He has a YouTube channel. Link is down in the description. For him, for American Football Network, Sorgy Stories, all the different channels that we have here and are partnered with here at the Football Expert. Other thing, make sure you check out the podcast, the website, and the Patreon page, as well as our new football channel, College Football Roundup, where me and American Football Network go on a vast journey of topics in which exclusive content will be on College Football Roundup. So make sure you're subscribed to that as well. But let's not keep you waiting for too long. Let's get over to the schedule. So with Baylor's schedule, it does come up with an interesting point. And the interesting point really is this. You have a new Big 12. This is a Big 12 that consists of 4 new teams of Cincinnati, BYU, Houston, and UCF. That was the other team. I completely forgot. So you have 4 new teams. You do play 2 of them. You play Cincinnati. You play 3 of them. I'm sorry. You play Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF. The only team you don't play is Baylor, and I'm sure that team is coming up. I don't know when it is specifically, but Baylor starts off the year against Texas State. This is going to be a pretty easy dub. Don't think that they're going to have any issues. I think that they get a pretty easy win here. Texas State, not much that you're going to get out of that program. They have been lackluster, to say the least, and you should get an easy win there. Now, to go over Utah. Utah presents kind of an interesting challenge here. Last year, Baylor played another Utah-based team, and that was BYU. That game was at BYU. It was a double overtime thriller. Really interesting matchup for Baylor in that game. But I think that you're looking at a very interesting matchup because of Cam Rising coming back. But this game, at the end of the day, it's in Waco. If this game was at Utah, I'm going to give the win to the Utes. But with this game being at Baylor, I think with Blake Sharpen back at quarterback, I think that this team definitely has the ability to really rise to the occasion, and I think do better than they did last year. Last year, obviously, it was a disappointing season. You went 6-7. You had a losing record. It was a disappointing season. It was the first time you had 7 losses since the first year under Dave Aranda. But I think with bringing a starting quarterback back, bringing the starting running back back, bringing your top wide receiver back, I think that you are in a good spot for these early games in the season. Then you play LIU. I think that this is going to be a pretty easy win. I think that you're not going to have much issue there. I think that this is a school that, to be honest, I really didn't know who they were, and I have no idea who they really are. Generally, they're a small private school in New York. I don't really like. I did a little bit of looking up of where they were, but other than that, I'm sorry, Baylor's going to get a pretty easy win here. And it does kind of surprise me. This team starts off with 4 straight home games to begin the season. I'm sure all the players are happy about that. You start off the year, 4 straight home games. You bring Texas to town. This is in my opinion, I think it is the biggest game of the year. It's a season-defining game. If Baylor can win this game, it gives them a shot at the Big 12 title. If you lose this game, it makes it really difficult. But if you win this game, which I do think they do, I think that they get the W. And here's my reasoning why. Texas and Steve Sarkisian, I don't really trust them. Dave Aranda, I kind of trust him. And that's kind of where it goes. Quinn Ewers, I kind of trust him. Blake Sharpen, I kind of trust it. Like at the end of the day, I think what it comes down to is that this game is in Waco. And I think that you are able to get the win partly because I do think Texas, I don't know whether Texas is back. Like this is a Texas team that last year had some shining moments. They played well in certain games, but at the same time, this is also a Texas team that wasn't playing well at certain times. That did give up the metaphorical ball at times. You did lose to Texas last year, but it was a 9-point loss on the road against Texas. I think that this is going to be a team that will do much better than they did last year, and I will be giving them the W. Then you head to UCF to play Gus Malzahn and the Knights. This is going to be a tough game. It's your first road game of the year. You're in a tough environment. You have to play John Rice Plumlee and that team. And I think UCF, they bring back a lot of teams. Or not a lot of teams, a lot of players at those key positions. And I think because of bringing back all those key players, I do think it ends in a little bit of a disappointing first game against them. I think that at the end of the day, it is going to be a loss for Baylor. Then you have a Texas Tech team coming to town, and I'm going to give them another loss here. Sorry, but it was kind of split in hairs. I gave them – it was going to be either Texas Tech or Texas that you lost to. I thought you'd be more happy, and it's just kind of evening out. Those are two 50-50 games, in my opinion. And I do think I just think Texas early on in the season, I trust them less than it was later on in the season. Texas Tech, I think they'll be a very similar team all throughout the season, especially with Tyler Shuck being their quarterback once again. I think that's how you say it. I'm sorry if that's not how you say it. And Tyler, you're watching. I doubt, but if you are. Then you head into a bye week, and then you had to play the Cincinnati Bearcats. This is going to be a tougher game than most people think. Cincinnati, not an easy place to play. First group of 5 team to make the playoff. That's part of the reason why they're in the Big 12 now. But you lose your head coach. So you have a lot of things going with you, going against you. You lose a lot of players, but at the end of the day, I do think this game falls in the category of Cincinnati. I think that Cincinnati does have a little bit of an edge with this being a road game, with this being an environment that's later on. I know that Baylor's coming off the bye week, and it was a tough way to look at it, but I'm going to have to give the win to the Bearcats. Then you have Iowa State coming to town. Big, easy dub here. I know you came off a 3-game losing streak, in my opinion, but I think that Iowa State, not much issue here. They'll probably be better than last year. They were awful last year, a 4-8 record. I think they were 1-7 in conference was their final. 1-8 in conference, I think, was their final mark. And they struggled. They struggled. Matt Campbell, you're going to have a bounce back year, but I don't think that you get a bounce back against Dave Aranda's Baylor Bears. Then you have Houston. Houston is probably going to be the worst team in the Big 12, in my opinion. You lost Alton McCaskey. And Dave, you lose your quarterback in Clayton Tune. Like I said, you lose Alton McCaskey, your running back. You lose your top wide receiver, and Tank Dell. It's going to be a rough year. You're in a new conference that's already hard enough. And I think with Kansas not being so bad, I think it's very possible to likely that Houston finishes at the bottom of the conference this year. Then you have a road game against Kansas State. I'm sorry, but this is a loss here. Kansas State, you bring back Will Howard. You have your offensive coordinator and Colin Klein back after a possibility of him leaving. Kansas State, they're in a good spot. You lose Deuce Vaughn. That is a tough loss. Deuce Vaughn is an irreplaceable piece, both as a leader on that team and as a player. The contact balance is just freaking ridiculous. But that's what happens when you're 5'3", which is just crazy to think about because I'm 5'11" and I'm about an average height for a dude. The dude's 8 inches shorter than me. That's what I was in 6th or 7th grade. That's just crazy to think. But Either way, I think you lose that game. I think Kansas State, both defensively and offensively, is one of the most well-rounded teams in the Big 12. Then you have a road game against TCU. And even though the Horned Frogs are coming off a national championship appearance, I think it's going to be a tough year for Sonny Dykes. I think it's going to be a rough year for him. And I think Baylor does get their first road win of the year very late in the season. But when you only have 4 total road games, it's hard to find a lot of road wins on the schedule. Then you have West Virginia coming to town. West Virginia will once again or will also be competing for that bottom of the division or bottom of the conference title. I think that you get a win over the West Virginia Mountaineers. I think you finish with an 8-4 record. I do think that some of these games could change. I think that it's possible you beat Cincinnati and you lose to Texas, or you have different games that switch up. But I think 8-4 is a pretty fair record. Scotty B, your opinion? I'm calling you out. I gotta hear your news. I know that Baylor is in an interesting spot. You had a down year after going 12-2, having a fantastic second year under Dave Aranda. And just changing that perspective and trajectory. But I'm going to leave it up to you guys. Baylor fans, what do you think? What are your thoughts on this program right now? As always, hit the 2 videos down below and the subscribe button up here. Help me reach my goal of 1,100 subscribers before the end of June. And as always, have a great day. Bye, guys.